What if I told you that the secret to extraordinary success isn't about doing more, but about doing less? Picture this. Two entrepreneurs start their journey at the exact same time. Same education, same resources, same opportunities. The first one says yes to everything. Every meeting, every project, every opportunity that comes his way. He's busy from dawn to dusk, his calendar packed, his phone constantly buzzing. He looks successful from the outside, always moving, always doing. The second entrepreneur, she says no to almost everything. She turns down lucrative deals, skips networking events, ignores the latest trends. People call her crazy. They say she's missing opportunities. Fast forward 5 years. The first entrepreneur, he's burned out, scattered across a dozen half-finished projects, making decent money but feeling empty inside. He's busy but not fulfilled, active but not effective. The second entrepreneur, she's built a multi-million-dollar empire, impacted millions of lives, and still has time for her family every evening. She sleeps peacefully, knowing she's living her true purpose. What made the difference? The second entrepreneur discovered what Warren Buffett, Steve Jobs, and the world's most successful people already knew. A secret so counterintuitive that 99% of people get it backwards. This secret isn't about time management. It isn't about productivity hacks. It's about something far more profound. It's about essentialism, the disciplined pursuit of less but better. In the next 30 minutes, I'm going to share with you the life-changing insights from Greg McKeown's revolutionary book, Essentialism, insights that have transformed the lives of millions, including CEOs of Fortune 500 companies, world-class athletes, and everyday people just like you and me. But here's what's crazy. Most people will click away from this video in the next few seconds. They'll go back to their busy, unfocused lives, wondering why they feel so overwhelmed despite working so hard. But you're different. You're here because something inside you knows there's a better way. So buckle up, because what you're about to discover will fundamentally change how you think about success, productivity, and life itself. But first, if you're ready to transform your life from scattered to focused, from busy to purposeful, from exhausted to energized, hit that subscribe button right now. Because the journey we're about to embark on together will be nothing short of life-changing. Welcome to Mind's Quotes, where we unlock the secrets of extraordinary living. I'm your host, and today we're diving deep into essentialism. Are you ready to discover the disciplined pursuit of less? Let's begin. Before we dive into the life-changing principles of essentialism, let me tell you about the man who discovered this revolutionary approach, Greg McKeown. Greg's story begins with a paradox that will probably sound familiar. Here was a man who seemed to have it all figured out. Stanford MBA, successful consultant, working with some of the world's biggest companies. From the outside, he was a picture of success. But inside, Greg was drowning. Picture this scene. It's one of the most important days of Greg's life. His daughter's birth. He should be at the hospital, holding his newborn, supporting his wife. Instead, he finds himself torn between family and a work obligation. A colleague had asked him to attend a client meeting, not because Greg was essential to the meeting. He wasn't. Not because the client specifically requested him. They hadn't. Simply because someone asked, and Greg, like so many of us, had forgotten how to say no. This moment changed everything. Standing in that hospital room, looking at his wife and newborn daughter, Greg realized he had become a slave to other people's priorities. He was living what he calls a paradox of success. The more successful he became, the more opportunities came his way, and the more diluted his efforts became. But Greg's awakening didn't happen overnight. For years, he had been what he calls a people pleaser with a Stanford MBA. He said yes to everything, believing that more opportunities meant more success. His calendar was packed, his to-do list endless, his stress levels through the roof. Then came the wake-up call that millions of us need to hear. Greg discovered that the most successful people throughout history, from Steve Jobs to Warren Buffett, from John F. Kennedy to Mother Teresa, all shared one common trait. They were essentialists. They didn't try to do everything. They identified the vital few and eliminated everything else. Steve Jobs once said, "Innovation is saying no to 1,000 things." When he returned to Apple in 1997, the company had dozens of products. His first move? He cut the product line by 70%. The result? Apple became the most valuable company in the world. Warren Buffett has a similar approach. His investment strategy isn't about making more investments. It's about making fewer, better ones. He once said, "The difference between successful people and really successful people is that really successful people say no to almost everything." This revelation sparked Greg's decade-long research journey. He studied hundreds of high performers, interviewed countless leaders, and analyzed what separated the truly successful from the merely busy. He discovered that in our modern world of infinite choices and constant connectivity, the ability to discern what is essential has become the most important skill of all. Greg's background uniquely positioned him to uncover these insights. His work as a consultant with Fortune 500 companies showed him how even the most successful organizations often lost their way by pursuing too many priorities. His academic training taught him to research and validate his theories rigorously. But most importantly, his personal struggles with overwhelm and the missed moments with his family gave him the emotional drive to find a better way. The result of this journey? The book Essentialism, The Disciplined Pursuit of Less. Published in 2014, it became an instant bestseller, translated into dozens of languages, and has influenced millions of people worldwide. But more than just a book, Essentialism represents a complete philosophy, a new way of living in our age of information overload and infinite choices. Greg doesn't just teach essentialism, he lives it. Today, he's known for being incredibly selective about his commitments. He turns down lucrative speaking engagements, says no to promising business ventures, and guards his family time fiercely. The result? Higher impact, better relationships, and genuine fulfillment. But here's what makes Greg's message so powerful. He's not telling us to do less because we're lazy or incapable. He's showing us that doing less, but doing it better, is actually the highest form of achievement. It's not about limitation. It's about liberation. And that liberation starts with understanding the core philosophy of essentialism. Main concept, the essence of essentialism. Now, let me ask you a question that might change your life. What if everything you believed about success was backwards? We live in a world that worships busy. Open LinkedIn, and you'll see people bragging about their 80-hour work weeks. Scroll through social media, and everyone's hustling, grinding, doing more. We've created a culture where being busy is a badge of honor. We're saying, "I don't have time," makes us feel important. But here's the brutal truth Greg McKeown discovered. The way of the essentialist is not about getting more done in less time. It's not about getting less done for the sake of less. It's about getting only the right things done. Let me paint you two pictures. Picture number one, the non-essentialist. Sarah is a marketing manager at a growing tech company. Her typical day starts at 6 a.m., checking emails before her feet hit the floor. She attends 7 meetings, works on 5 different projects, responds to countless Slack messages, and ends her day at 9 p.m., exhausted and overwhelmed. She's busy. She's always moving. Her calendar is packed. People see her as dedicated, hardworking, essential. But here's what's really happening. Sarah's making a millimeter of progress in a million directions. She's like a person trying to dig 100 holes 1 inch deep instead of digging one hole 100 inches deep. At the end of the year, she's accomplished what exactly? She can't point to one significant achievement because her energy was scattered across too many priorities. Picture number 2, the essentialist. Meet David, another marketing manager at a similar company. His day also starts at 6 a.m., but instead of checking emails, he spends 30 minutes in quiet reflection, identify his 3 most important tasks for the day. He attends 3 meetings, but only those where his contribution is unique and necessary. He works on one major project that will have the biggest impact on company growth. He says no to 5 requests that would have diluted his focus. David appears less busy than Sarah. Some colleagues might even think he's lazy. But by the end of the year, David has led the campaign that doubled the company's revenue. What's the difference between Sarah and David? David understands what Greg McKeown calls the basic value proposition of essentialism. Less but better. This isn't about doing fewer things because you're overwhelmed. This is about doing fewer things because you're strategic. It's about applying more selective criteria for what deserves your time, energy, and attention. Think about it this way. Imagine your life as a closet. Most people stuff their closets with everything they might possibly need someday. Clothes from 10 years ago, shoes they never wear, items with tags still on them. The result? They can never find what they need. Everything is wrinkled and disorganized, and getting dressed becomes a stressful experience. The essentialist approach to the closet: keep only the items you absolutely love and wear regularly. Each piece should serve a clear purpose and bring you joy. The result? Getting dressed becomes effortless. You always look great, and you actually wear everything you own. Now apply this to your life. Essentialism operates on 3 core principles. Principle 1, individual choice. You have the power to choose. This sounds obvious, but most people live as if they don't have choices. They say things like, I have to attend this meeting, or I have no choice but to work late. The essentialist knows that while we may not always control our options, we always control our response. Principle 2, the prevalence of noise. Almost everything is noise. In any situation, there are many things you could do, but only a few things you should do. The essentialist learns to distinguish between what's merely good and what's truly great. Principle 3, the reality of trade-offs. You can't have it all. This isn't pessimism, it's liberation. When you accept that you can't do everything, you become free to do what matters most. But here's where most people get essentialism wrong. They think it's about being more efficient, getting more done in less time. That's productivity. Essentialism is about being more effective, getting the right things done. Think about the difference. Efficiency is about doing things right. Effectiveness is about doing the right things. You can be incredibly efficient at climbing a ladder, but if the ladder is leaning against a wrong wall, all your efficiency is wasted. Essentialism asks a different question. Instead of, how can I fit everything in? The essentialist asks, what are the few things that really matter? Instead of, how can I do this faster? They ask, should I be doing this at all? This shift in thinking is revolutionary. When you start asking what is essential, instead of, how can I fit more in, everything changes. Your stress decreases, your impact increases, and you start living with intention instead of reaction. But implementing essentialism isn't easy. We live in a culture that rewards busyness and mistakes activity for achievement. Choosing the essential path requires discipline, courage, and a willingness to disappoint people who want you to be all things to all people. However, the rewards are extraordinary. When you embrace essentialism, you don't just become more productive. You become more purposeful. You don't just manage your time better. You design a life that matters. And that journey begins with the first core practice of essentialism, learning to explore. Core practice 1, explore, the power of discernment. Imagine you're standing at the entrance of the world's largest library. Millions of books surround you. Every subject imaginable, every story ever told, every piece of knowledge humanity has accumulated. You have limited time, let's say one day, to spend in this library. What you do? The non-essentialist approach? Panic. Try to read a little bit of everything. Skim through dozens of books. Take notes frantically. Feel overwhelmed by all the choices. Leave at the end of the day having consumed lots of information, but retain very little wisdom. The essentialist approach? Explore systematically. Spend time understanding what you're really looking for. Identify the 3 books that will give you the most valuable insights. Read those deeply. Take meaningful notes, and leave with knowledge that will actually change your life. This is the essence of the Explore discipline. Greg McKeown discovered that essentialists don't just randomly choose what to focus on. They have a systematic approach to discerning what deserves their attention and what doesn't. But here's the paradox most people miss. To do less, you first need to explore more. To say no to the trivial many, you need to understand what makes something essential. Let me tell you about Maria's transformation. Maria was a talented software engineer who felt constantly overwhelmed. She was working on 6 different projects, attending every team meeting, volunteering for every new initiative. She thought this would fast-track her career, but instead, she was burning out and making little real progress. Then Maria discovered the power of exploration. Instead of automatically saying yes to new projects, she started asking different questions. What would I be uniquely positioned to contribute here? What would happen if I didn't do this? Does this align with my highest point of contribution? The result? Maria identified that her greatest strength was in back-end architecture, something only 2 people in her company could do well. She started saying no to front-end projects, declined meeting invitations where her input wasn't crucial, and focused 80% of her energy on back-end systems. Within 6 months, Maria had architected a system that became the foundation of her company's most successful product. She got promoted, became known as the back-end genius, and started working fewer hours while making significantly more impact. What did Maria discover? The power of selective criteria. Most people use incredibly low criteria for their decisions. They ask, can I do this? Or is this a good opportunity? These questions lead to overwhelm because the answer is almost always yes. Essentialists use much higher criteria. They ask, is this the very best use of my time and energy? Or will this make the highest contribution toward my goals? Greg McKeown suggests using what he calls the 90% rule. Think about any opportunity on a scale from 0 to 100. If it doesn't score at least 90, it's automatically a no. This might sound extreme, but consider this. If something only scores 60 or 70, saying yes means you won't have time for the opportunities that score 95. Let me give you a powerful example from Warren Buffett's life. In the 1970s, Buffett was offered the chance to buy stock in a promising new technology company. The investment looked good, probably a 60 or 70 on his scale. But Buffett said no because it wasn't exceptional. Instead, he waited and later invested that same money in Coca-Cola, a 95-plus opportunity that he understood deeply. That investment became one of the most successful in history, making Berkshire Hathaway billions of dollars. The lesson? Good is the enemy of great. When you say yes to good opportunities, you use up resources that could be available for great opportunities. But exploration isn't just about big decisions. It's a daily practice. Every morning, essentialists explore 3 things. 1, their energy levels. Instead of pushing through fatigue, they ask, when am I at my best? How can I design my day around my peak performance hours? 2, their priorities. They don't just look at their to-do list. They ask, what are the 3 things that, if accomplished today, would make this day a success? 3, their opportunities. They scan the horizon not for more things to do, but for better things to do. They ask, what opportunity am I not seeing? What could I stop doing to make room for something more important? Here's a practical exploration exercise you can do right now. Take out a piece of paper. Write down everything you're currently committed to, every project, responsibility, relationship demand, and activity. Now, imagine you could only keep 20% of these commitments. Which ones would you choose? The items you'd keep? Those are your essentials. The ones you'd eliminate? Those are probably diluting your effectiveness right now. But exploration also requires what Greg calls creating space to escape. In our hyperconnected world, we're constantly consuming information and reacting to demands. Essentialists deliberately create space for thinking, reflecting, and gaining perspective. This might look like taking a daily 20-minute walk without your phone, scheduling weekly thinking time on your calendar, going on quarterly retreats to evaluate your direction, reading books that challenge your current thinking. Bill Gates is famous for his Think Weeks. Twice a year, he goes to a remote cabin with no distractions, just books and his thoughts. Some of Microsoft's biggest strategic decisions came from these reflection periods. But here's what surprises most people about exploration. The goal isn't to find more opportunities. It's to find better ones. Essentialists explore not to add to their plates, but to upgrade their plates. Think of it like this. Imagine you're a museum curator with limited wall space. You don't display every painting you encounter. That would create a chaotic, overwhelming experience. Instead, you carefully explore all available art, select only the masterpieces, and create an extraordinary collection that moves people deeply. Your life is your museum. Your time and energy are your wall space. Exploration helps you curate a life worth living. And once you've identified what's truly essential through exploration, You need the courage to eliminate everything else. Core practice 2. Eliminate. The art of graceful refusal. Picture this scenario. You're at dinner with friends, and the waiter brings you the most enormous menu you've ever seen. 200 items. Every cuisine imaginable. Appetizers, entrees, desserts, drinks, endless options. Your friend looks at the menu and says, "This is amazing. Let's order one of everything." You look at the same menu and think, "This is overwhelming. How do I choose the one perfect meal for tonight?" This is the difference between the non-essentialist and the essentialist approach to life. The non-essentialist sees infinite options and tries to have it all. The essentialist sees infinite options and chooses deliberately. But here's the challenge. In life, unlike in a restaurant, saying no isn't just about declining food. It's about declining people, opportunities, and dreams. And that requires a skill most of us were never taught. The art of graceful refusal. Let me tell you about James, a successful architect who almost lost everything because he couldn't say no. James was talented, respected, and in high demand. Clients loved working with him. Colleagues wanted to partner with him, and opportunities came from every direction. In 1 year, James said yes to designing a shopping mall, not a specialty, but good money. Teaching at a local university, prestigious but time-consuming. Joining the board of 2 nonprofits, good for his reputation. Taking on 3 residential projects, his bread and butter. Consulting for a real estate development firm, lucrative side work. James thought he was seizing opportunities. In reality, he was scattering his genius. Each project got a fraction of his attention. The shopping mall design was mediocre. His university classes were unprepared. The nonprofit boards got minimal contribution. Even his core residential work, where he used to excel, began to suffer. By year's end, James was exhausted, stressed, and ironically, less successful than when he was doing less. Then James discovered the power of strategic elimination. Instead of asking, "How can I do all of this?" he started asking, "Which of these deserves the very best of what I have to offer?" The answer was clear: residential architecture. That's where his unique talent shined. That's where he could make his highest contribution. That's where he found the most fulfillment. So James made a radical decision. He would say no to everything that wasn't residential architecture. The eliminations were painful but necessary. He declined to renew his university contract, lost prestige. He stepped down from nonprofit boards, disappointed colleagues. He turned down the consulting work, lost immediate income. He finished the shopping mall project, but never took another commercial job. The result? Within 2 years, James became known as a premier residential architect in his city. His waiting list grew to 18 months. He could charge premium prices because everyone knew that working with James meant getting 100% of his focus and expertise. James learned what every essentialist must learn. You can do anything, but not everything. But saying no is hard because we're wired to say yes. Psychologically, we fear FOMO, fear of missing out. What if this is the opportunity of a lifetime? Social pressure. What will people think if I decline? Sunk cost fallacy. I've already invested time in this relationship/project. People pleasing. I don't want to disappoint anyone. Greg McKeown identifies these as the undisciplined pursuit of more, and they're deadly to effectiveness. So how do essentialists overcome these psychological barriers? Strategy number 1. The 90% rule applied to elimination. Remember the 90% rule from expiration? It applies to elimination too. If an opportunity doesn't score 90% or higher on your essential criteria, it's an automatic no, regardless of who's asking or how good it might seem. Strategy number 2, predetermined criteria. Before you're in the heat of the moment, decide what makes something worth your time. Write down your criteria. When opportunities arise, measure them against these predetermined standards, not against your emotions. For example, a freelance writer might have these criteria for new clients. Pays at least $100 per hour. Aligns with my expertise in healthcare writing. Allows creative freedom and approach. Provides steady, long-term work. Any opportunity that doesn't meet all criteria gets declined immediately. Strategy number 3, the graceful no. Saying no doesn't mean being rude or abrupt. Essentialists have learned to decline gracefully while maintaining relationships. Here are some scripts Greg McKeown recommends. I'm honored by the request, but I'm not able to give this the attention it deserves. This sounds like a great opportunity, but it doesn't align with my current priorities. I'd love to help, but I'm committed to focusing on your essential area right now. Thank you for thinking of me. I'm not available, but have you considered suggest someone else? Strategy number 4, the power of the pause. Most people feel pressured to give immediate answers. Essentialists buy themselves time to think clearly. Responses like, "Let me check my calendar and get back to you. I need to consider how this fits with my other commitments. Can I have 24 hours to think about this?" This pause prevents reactive yes-saying and allows for thoughtful decision-making. Strategy number 5, focus on the trade-off. When tempted to say yes, ask yourself, if I say yes to this, what am I saying no to? Often, we don't realize that saying yes to one thing means saying no to something else. Time with family, work on our core projects, or simply rest and reflection. Making the trade-off explicit helps clarify the real cost of saying yes. But here's what most people get wrong about elimination. They think it's about being selfish or lazy. Actually, elimination is about being responsible to your highest contributions, to your authentic self, and even to the people you're saying no to. When you say yes to something you can't give your best effort to, you're actually being disrespectful to everyone involved. You're better serving someone by saying no up front than by saying yes and delivering mediocre results. Let me share a story about how elimination can actually serve others. Dr. Sarah Chun was a pediatrician who got asked to serve on numerous medical boards, speak at conferences, and consult for pharmaceutical companies. Each request came with the explanation that her expertise was desperately needed. For years, Sarah said yes to everything, thinking she was serving the greater good. But Sarah noticed something troubling. Her patient care was suffering. She was distracted during appointments, rushed through diagnoses, and had less emotional bandwidth for families who needed her most. Then Sarah made a difficult decision. She would eliminate everything that took her away from direct patient care. She resigned from boards, declined speaking engagements, and stopped consulting work. Some colleagues criticized her, saying she was abandoning her responsibility to the broader medical community. But something amazing happened. Sarah's patient outcomes improved dramatically. Word spread about her exceptional care. Medical students began requesting to observe her work. She developed innovative treatment protocols that other doctors started adopting. By focusing on fewer things, Sarah ultimately had a much greater impact on medicine. This is a paradox of elimination. By doing less, you often accomplish more. And once you've eliminated the non-essential, you can pour all your energy into executing what matters most. Core Practice 3. Execute, the discipline of effortless action. Imagine watching two pianists perform the same complex piece. The first pianist sweats profusely. Their fingers stumble over keys. Their face contorts with effort. Every note is a struggle. The music is technically correct, but sounds forced and mechanical. The second pianist sits calmly, fingers flowing effortlessly across the keys. They make the impossible look easy. The music soars, touching your soul, seeming to come from some divine source. What's the difference? Both know the notes. Both have practiced extensively, but only the second pianist has achieved what Greg McKeown calls effortless execution. This is a third discipline of essentialism, and perhaps the most misunderstood. When most people think of execution, they imagine grinding, hustling, and powering through with pure willpower. They believe that important work must be difficult, that success requires sacrifice and struggle. Essentialists think differently. They design systems that make the essential work feel effortless. They create momentum that carries them forward without constant effort. They build what Greg calls the infrastructure of execution. Let me tell you about Lisa, a marketing executive who transformed her career through effortless execution. Lisa managed social media for a growing startup. Every day felt chaotic, responding to customer comments, creating content, analyzing metrics, planning campaigns. She worked 12-hour days but felt like she was constantly behind. Lisa's breaking point came during a product launch. She had to manage social media for the launch while keeping up with regular posting, all while dealing with a family emergency. She ended up making several costly mistakes, including posting content meant for a competitor's audience. That's when Lisa discovered the power of systematic execution. Instead of trying to work harder, Lisa spent one weekend designing systems that would make her essential work effortless. System 1, the content pipeline. Lisa spent 3 hours every Sunday creating and scheduling an entire week's worth of social media content. This eliminated the daily stress of, what should I post today? System 2, the response framework. She created templates for common customer inquiries, reducing response time from 30 minutes to 3 minutes per issue. System 3, the metrics dashboard. Instead of manually pulling data from multiple platforms, she set up an automated dashboard that gave her key insights at a glance. System 4, the launch playbook. She documented every step of a successful product launch, creating a checklist she could follow without thinking. The transformation was remarkable. Lisa went from working 12-hour days to 8-hour days while achieving better results. Her social media engagement increased by 200%. Her stress levels plummeted. She even started leaving work at 5 p.m. to spend time with her family. What Lisa discovered is the essence of effortless execution. The right systems make the right behaviors inevitable. But effortless execution isn't just about systems. It's about understanding how to create momentum. Greg McKeown identifies several key principles. Principle 1, design for minimum viable progress. Most people try to make dramatic changes all at once. They set massive goals and expect to maintain heroic levels of effort indefinitely. This approach almost always fails. Essentialists focus on the smallest possible step that will create momentum toward their essential goals. For example, instead of "I'll write a book this year," try "I'll write 100 words every morning." Instead of "I'll get in shape," try "I'll walk for 10 minutes after lunch." Instead of "I'll learn Spanish," try "I'll practice 5 minutes with an app before coffee." The magic happens when these tiny actions compound over time. Principle 2, create buffers. Non-essentialists live right at the edge of their capacity. They schedule back-to-back meetings, commit to tight deadlines, and leave no room for unexpected challenges. Essentialists build buffers into everything they do. They add 50% more time to project estimates. They keep 20% of their schedule unplanned. They save money beyond their immediate needs. They finish important work before deadlines. This isn't being inefficient. It's being resilient. When unexpected opportunities or challenges arise, the essentialist is ready to respond while others are overwhelmed. Principle 3, remove obstacles in advance. Instead of fighting friction every day, essentialists identify and eliminate obstacles before they become problems. Consider the story of a busy executive who wanted to exercise regularly. Non-essentialist approach: set an alarm for 6 a.m. and rely on willpower to get to the gym. Essentialist approach: lay out workout clothes the night before. Keep a gym bag in the car. Find a gym between home and office. Schedule workouts like important meetings. Have a backup 15-minute home routine for busy days. By removing friction, the essential behavior becomes a path of least resistance. Principle 4, focus on progress, not perfection. Perfectionism is the enemy of execution. While non-essentialists get paralyzed trying to create the perfect solution, essentialists focus on making consistent progress. They ask, what's the minimum viable version of this that will create value? This approach leads to faster learning cycles, earlier feedback from others, less overwhelm and procrastination, more completed projects. Principle 5, celebrate small wins. Every time you complete an essential task, your brain releases dopamine, the neurotransmitter associated with motivation and reward. Essentialists deliberately design ways to experience these wins regularly. This might look like checking items off a physical to-do list, tracking progress visually like a calendar chain, sharing accomplishments with accountability partners, taking a moment to appreciate completed work. Let me share one of my favorite examples of effortless execution in action. Jerry Seinfeld, the comedian, has a famous system for writing jokes. He hangs a big calendar on his wall, And every day he writes new material, he puts a big red X over that day. After a few days, he has a chain of X's. His only job is to not break the chain. This system is brilliant because it makes the essential behavior, daily writing, visual. It creates momentum. You don't want to break the chain. It focuses on process, not outcome. It provides daily satisfaction, marking the X. Seinfeld has used this system for decades, writing thousands of jokes and becoming one of the most successful comedians in history. But here's the deeper truth about execution. Effortless doesn't mean easy. It means sustainable. When you design systems that align with human nature instead of fighting against it, you can maintain essential behaviors over years and decades instead of days and weeks. The compound effect of this consistency is extraordinary. Someone who writes 200 words daily will complete multiple books over their lifetime. Someone who invests $100 monthly will build substantial wealth over decades. Someone who exercises 15 minutes daily will be healthier and more energetic than someone who does intense workouts sporadically. The key is understanding that execution is not about heroic effort. It's about intelligent design. And when you combine the systematic execution with the exploration and elimination disciplines, something magical happens. You begin to live as an essentialist. The essentialist mindset, core principles and transformations. Now that we've explored the 3 core disciplines of essentialism, let's talk about something deeper. The fundamental mindset shift that makes all of this possible. Because here's the truth. You can learn all the techniques in the world, but if your underlying beliefs haven't changed, you'll eventually drift back to your old patterns of overwhelm and scattered focus. Becoming an essentialist isn't just about what you do differently. It's about who you become. Let me paint you 2 pictures of the same person living 2 different philosophies. Meet Jennifer, the non-essentialist. Jennifer believes that opportunities are scarce, and she must seize every one that comes her way. Her internal dialogue sounds like this. I can't say no to this project. What, they don't ask me again? I should attend every networking event. You never know who you might meet. I need to be available 24/7. That's what successful people do. If I'm not busy, I must not be important. Jennifer's day. She wakes up checking emails, responds to every request immediately, says yes to every meeting invitation, and goes to bed feeling exhausted but somehow unproductive. She measures her worth by how much she can handle, not by what she accomplishes. Now meet Jennifer, the essentialist, same person, different mindset. Jennifer believes that her time and energy are precious resources that should be invested wisely. Her internal dialogue has completely shifted. Every yes to something unimportant is a no to something essential. I choose opportunities based on my unique strengths and highest contribution. Being selective is being responsible to myself and others. My value comes from the quality of my contribution, not the quantity of my activity. Jennifer's day. She starts with 20 minutes of reflection, identifies her 3 most important tasks, completes deep work on projects that matter, and goes to bed feeling fulfilled and purposeful. She measures her worth by the impact she creates, not by how busy she appears. This transformation didn't happen overnight, but it started with 5 fundamental mindset shifts. Mindset shift number 1, from I have to I choose to. Non-essentialists live in a world of obligations. They use language like, I have to work late again. I have no choice but to attend this meeting. I can't say no to my boss/client/family. Essentialists understand that while they may not control all their options, they always control their response. They use language like, I'm choosing to work late because this project aligns with my goals. I'm attending this meeting because I can make a unique contribution. I'm setting boundaries because it allows me to give my best to what matters most. This shift from victim to creator is liberating and empowering. Mindset shift number 2, from everything is important to almost everything is noise. We live in a culture that treats everything as urgent and important. Your phone buzzes with notifications. Your email overflows with high-priority messages, and everyone wants you to believe their agenda is critical. Essentialists develop what Greg calls sophisticated criteria. They understand that just because something is good doesn't mean it deserves their attention. Just because someone asks doesn't mean they should say yes. Just because they can do something doesn't mean they should. They become masters at distinguishing signal from noise. Mindset shift number 3. From I can't miss out to I choose what to miss out on. FOMO, fear of missing out, is the enemy of essentialism. When you're afraid of missing anything, you end up missing everything that truly matters. Essentialists flip this script. Instead of fearing what they might miss, they get excited about what they choose to focus on. They practice JOMO, the joy of missing out. They realize that missing out on good opportunities is the price of accessing great opportunities. Mindset shift number 4. From more is better to less but better. Our consumer culture has trained us to believe that more is always better. More features, more options, more activities, more possessions. Essentialists embrace the philosophy of less but better. They would rather have 3 deep friendships than 30 shallow acquaintances, 1 meaningful project than 10 mediocre ones, 2 core skills they've mastered than 20 they're mediocre at. This isn't about deprivation. It's about depth and quality over breadth and quantity. Mindset shift number 5. From work-life balance to work-life integration. The traditional concept of work-life balance suggests you can have it all if you just manage your time better. This creates guilt and exhaustion as people try to excel in every area simultaneously. Essentialists think differently about integration. They understand that some seasons require more focus on work, others on family. Being fully present is more important than being everywhere. Quality of attention matters more than quantity of time. Living their values consistently is more important than perfect balance. But perhaps the most profound transformation is what Greg calls a paradox of success. Here's how it works. Phase 1. You start with clarity about what you want to achieve. You focus your energy and make significant progress. Phase 2. Your success brings new opportunities. People notice your capabilities and start asking you to take on more responsibilities. Phase 3. You say yes to these good opportunities because they seem to validate your success. Phase 4. Your attention becomes scattered. You're doing more, but achieving less. The very success you created starts to undermine itself. Most successful people get trapped in this cycle. They become victims of their own success, constantly busy but decreasingly effective. Essentialists break this cycle by understanding that success is not a destination, but a discipline. They continue to apply essentialist principles even after achieving success, perhaps especially then. The result? Sustained success without the typical burnout and overwhelm. Think about leaders like Warren Buffett or Bill Gates. Decades into their careers, they remain incredibly selective about how they spend their time. They've learned that protecting their focus is what allows them to continue making their highest contribution. This mindset transformation creates what I call the essentialist advantage. Clarity in chaos. While others are overwhelmed by options, you know what matters. Confidence in decisions. You're not second-guessing yourself constantly. Contribution over activity. You focus on impact rather than effort. Calm in crisis. You have the bandwidth to handle unexpected challenges. Connection in relationships. You're fully present with the people who matter most. But understanding the mindset is just the beginning. To truly transform your life, you need to master the practical strategies that make essentialism work in the real world. Practical strategies and real-world applications. All right, let's get real for a moment. Everything we've discussed so far might sound inspiring, but you're probably thinking, this is all great in theory, but how do I actually implement this in my messy, complicated, real-world life? I get it. You have a boss who expects immediate responses to emails. You have family members who need your attention. You have commitments you made before you understood essentialism. You have bills to pay and responsibilities to meet. The good news? Essentialism isn't about escaping reality. It's about navigating reality more skillfully. Let me give you a practical roadmap for implementing these principles. Starting today. Strategy 1. The Essentialist Audit. Before you can eliminate the non-essential, you need to see it clearly. Here's a week-long exercise that will open your eyes. Day 1 to 7. Track everything. For 1 week, write down everything you do and how long it takes. Don't change your behavior. Just observe and record. Week 2. Categorize activities. Group your activities into 4 categories. Essential and energizing, activities that align with your goals and give you energy. Essential and draining, important activities that exhaust you. Non-essential and energizing, fun but ultimately unproductive activities. Non-essential and draining, time wasters and energy vampires. Week 3, the 2080 analysis. Look at your results. Typically, 20% of your activities produce 80% of your results and satisfaction. Identify that vital 20%. Your mission. Maximize time in essential and energizing, eliminate non-essential and draining, and redesign essential and draining to be more efficient. Strategy 2. The power of predetermined responses. One reason people say yes to non-essential requests is that they're caught off guard. They haven't thought through their response in advance. Create standard responses for common situations. For work requests. I'm honored you thought of me for this project. Let me review my current commitments and get back to you by a specific time. For social invitations. Thanks for the invitation. I'm committed to your essential priority right now, so I won't be able to join you this time. For volunteer opportunities. I appreciate you thinking of me for this cause. I'm already committed to your chosen cause/activity and want to give that my full attention. Having these scripts ready prevents reactive yes-saying. Strategy 3. The essential calendar. Most people let their calendars happen to them. Essentialists design their calendars intentionally. Weekly calendar design. Sunday evening. The weekly preview. Review your essential goals for the week. Block time for your most important work. Do this first, before meetings. Identify potential obstacles and plan around them. Schedule buffer time for unexpected opportunities or challenges. Daily, the 3-priority rule. Each morning, identify 3 tasks that would make the day successful. Not 20, not 10, 3. Complete these before checking email or attending meetings. Weekly, the progress review. Every Friday, ask, what progress did I make on my essential goals? What non-essential activities crept into my week? What can I eliminate or delegate next week? How can I better protect my essential work time? Strategy 4. The art of elegant boundaries. Setting boundaries doesn't mean being rude. It means being clear and consistent about what you will and won't do. Professional boundaries. Check email at designated times, e.g. 9 a.m., 1 p.m., 5 p.m., rather than constantly. Block meeting-free time for deep work. Set expectations about response times. I typically respond to emails within 24 hours. Personal boundaries. Designate technology-free times, meals, bedtime routine, family time. Say no to social obligations that drain rather than energize you. Protect time for activities that restore you, exercise, reading, reflection. Family boundaries. Have honest conversations about priorities and trade-offs. Include family members in decisions about time allocation. Create rituals that protect essential family time. Strategy 5. The minimal viable routine. Instead of trying to overhaul your entire life overnight, start with what Greg calls minimal viable routines. The smallest sustainable changes that will create momentum. Morning routine example. Instead of a complex 2-hour morning routine, start with 5 minutes of reflection. What are my 3 priorities today? Review your essential goals before checking your phone. Eat breakfast mindfully instead of multitasking. Evening routine example. 10 minutes to tidy your space. Preparation for tomorrow. Review the day, what went well, what could be improved. Read for 15 minutes instead of scrolling social media. These simple routines create bookend for your day and gradually shift your mindset toward intentionality. Strategy 6. The Essentialist Toolkit. Tools for decision-making. The 90% rule scorecard for evaluating opportunities. The hell yeah or no test. If you're not excited, say no. The October 10th, 10 rule. How will I feel about this decision in 10 minutes, 10 months, 10 years? Tools for focus. The Pomodoro technique for deep work sessions. Website blockers during essential work time. A designated phone-free workspace. Tools for tracking. A simple journal to track your essential activities. Weekly reviews to assess progress and adjust. Annual reviews to evaluate and evolve your essential priorities. Strategy 7. Dealing with resistance, including your own. When others resist your new boundaries. Some people won't like your newfound selectivity. They were benefiting from your scattered attention and unlimited availability. Remember, you're not responsible for managing other people's emotions. Disappointing some people is the price of serving your highest contribution. The people who matter most will respect and support your boundaries. When you resist your own changes, your brain will try to pull you back to old patterns. This is normal. Strategies for self-resistance. Start smaller than you think necessary. Focus on progress, not perfection. Find accountability partners who support your essentialist journey. Remind yourself why you started this transformation. Real-world case study. From overwhelmed executive to essentialist leader. Let me tell you about Michael, a VP at a Fortune 500 company who transformed his career and life through essentialism. Before essentialism, worked 70-plus hours per week, attended 40-plus meetings per week, managed 12 different initiatives, felt constantly behind and overwhelmed, missed his daughter's school events regularly. After implementing essentialist strategies, reduced work to 50 hours per week, attends only meetings where his unique contribution is essential, focuses on 3 core initiatives that align with company strategy, became known as the most effective leader in his division, never misses important family events. How did he do it? Michael applied every strategy we've discussed. He audited his activities and identified his highest contribution. He redesigned his calendar around essential work. He learned to say no gracefully but firmly. He delegated non-essential tasks to develop his team. He created systems that made his essential work more efficient. The result? Michael was promoted to senior VP within 18 months. His team became the highest performing in the company, and his personal life flourished. But the most powerful part of Michael's story isn't external success. It's internal transformation. Michael went from feeling like a victim of his circumstances to feeling like the architect of his life. He stopped reacting to everyone else's priorities and started living according to his own values and goals. And that transformation is available to you too. Strategies for self-resistance. Start smaller than you think necessary. Focus on progress, not perfection. Find accountability partners who support your essentialist journey. Remind yourself why you started this transformation. Real-world case study. From overwhelmed executive to essentialist leader. Let me tell you about Michael, a VP at a Fortune 500 company who transformed his career and life through essentialism. Before essentialism, worked 70-plus hours per week, attended 40-plus meetings per week, managed 12 different initiatives, felt constantly behind and overwhelmed, missed his daughter's school events regularly. After implementing essentialist strategies, reduced work to 50 hours per week, attends only meetings where his unique contribution is essential, focuses on 3 core initiatives that align with company strategy, became known as the most effective leader in his division, never misses important family events. How did he do it? Michael applied every strategy we've discussed. He audited his activities and identified his highest contribution. He redesigned his calendar around essential work. He learned to say no gracefully but firmly. He delegated non-essential tasks to develop his team. He created systems that made his essential work more efficient. The result? Michael was promoted to senior VP within 18 months. His team became the highest performing in the company, and his personal life flourished. But the most powerful part of Michael's story isn't external success. It's the internal transformation. Michael went from feeling like a victim of his circumstances to feeling like the architect of his life. He stopped reacting to everyone else's priorities and started living according to his own values and goals. And that transformation is available to you too. The journey begins with a single decision. The decision to live as an essentialist, overcoming common challenges and objections. Now, I know what some of you are thinking right now. This all sounds amazing, but you don't understand MY's situation. I can't just say no to my boss. I can't ignore my family's needs. I can't be selective about opportunities because I need the money. I've heard these objections hundreds of times, and I want to address them head on because the biggest obstacle to becoming an essentialist isn't external. It's the voice in your head that says this won't work for me. Let's tackle the most common challenges. Challenge number 1. My boss expects me to be available 24/7. This is probably the most common objection I hear, especially from people in demanding careers. Here's what most people don't realize. Bosses don't actually want employees who are scattered and unfocused. They want results. The key is to demonstrate that your essentialist approach delivers better results. Strategic approach. Document your current workload and results. Identify the 20% of your work that produces 80% of the value. Propose a trial period where you focus on high-impact activities. Show measurable improvements in quality and outcomes. Case example. Sarah, a marketing manager, was expected to respond to emails instantly and attend every meeting. She approached her boss with data, showing that her best work happened during uninterrupted focus time. She proposed checking emails 3 times daily and being selective about meetings. Her boss agreed to a 30-day trial. Sarah's campaign performance improved by 40%, and her boss became a champion of her approach. The key: position essentialism as a performance improvement strategy, not a work reduction strategy. Challenge number 2. I can't say no to family obligations. Family relationships are complex, and saying no to loved ones can feel selfish. The essentialist perspective: being selective about family commitments isn't about caring less. It's about caring more effectively. Reframe the conversation. Instead of, I can't attend every family gathering, try, I want to be fully present at the gatherings I do attend. Instead of, I can't help with everything, try, I want to help in ways that use my unique strengths. Instead of, I need more personal time, try, I need to recharge so I can give you my best. Practical strategy: have honest conversations with family members about priorities and trade-offs. Include them in decisions about how to spend time together. Example: instead of attending every extended family event exhausted and distracted, choose the 3 most important gatherings each year and be fully present and engaged. Challenge number 3. I'm afraid of missing out on opportunities. FOMO is real, especially in competitive environments where opportunities feel scarce. The essentialist insight: when you try to seize every opportunity, you dilute your effectiveness and actually miss out on the best opportunities. Practical exercise: look back at the last 5 opportunities you said yes to out of FOMO. How many actually led to significant positive outcomes? Most people are surprised to find that their biggest successes came from opportunities they carefully selected, not ones they grabbed impulsively. Reframe FOMO as JOMO, joy of missing out. Every time you say no to a good opportunity, you're saying yes to potentially great ones. Challenge number 4. I need the money. I can't be selective. Financial pressure is real, and it can make saying no feel impossible. The essentialist approach: being selective often leads to higher income, not lower income, because you can command premium prices for your unique value. Strategic thinking: instead of taking every client, focus on the clients who value your unique strengths. Instead of competing on price, compete on specialized expertise. Instead of being a generalist available for any work, become known as the specialist for specific types of work. Example: Tom was a freelance graphic designer taking any project that came his way, charging low rates and feeling constantly overwhelmed. He decided to specialize in healthcare marketing design. He raised his rates by 50% and started turning away projects outside his specialty. His income increased by 30% while working 25% fewer hours. Challenge number 5. My industry/role doesn't allow for this kind of selectivity. Some people believe their specific industry or role is uniquely demanding and incompatible with essentialist principles. The truth: essentialism can be applied in any context, but it looks different in different situations. Examples of essentialism in demanding roles: emergency room doctor. Can't choose which patients to treat, but can optimize protocols, delegate appropriate tasks, and focus on continuous improvement in core medical skills. Startup founder. Must wear many hats, but can focus on the 2 to 3 activities that only they can do and delegate or eliminate everything else. Parent of young children. Can't eliminate childcare responsibilities, but can focus on being fully present during designated family time and efficient during work time. The key: essentialism isn't about doing less work. It's about doing the right work with greater focus and intentionality. Challenge number 6. I'll start being more selective once I'm more successful. This is backwards thinking. Selectivity is what creates success, not the result of success. The paradox: the people who most need to be essentialists, overwhelmed, scattered, busy people, are often the most resistant to it because they feel they can't afford to say no. The reality: you can't afford not to be selective. Scattered effort leads to scattered results. Start now strategy. Begin with small acts of selectivity. Say no to one non-essential meeting this week. Eliminate one time-wasting activity. Delegate one task that someone else could do. Build the muscle gradually. Challenge number 7. This sounds like perfectionism. Some people worry that being highly selective is just another form of perfectionism. The distinction: perfectionism tries to do everything perfectly. Essentialism focuses on doing the right things well. Perfectionism is about external validation. Essentialism is about internal clarity. Perfectionism creates paralysis. Essentialism creates focus. Perfectionism fears mistakes. Essentialism learns from trade-offs. Practical framework for overcoming resistance. Step 1. Start with self-resistance. Acknowledge your own fears and limiting beliefs. Write them down. For each fear, ask, is this fear based on facts or assumptions? Step 2. Run small experiments. Don't overhaul your entire life at once. Try one essentialist principle for 1 week and measure the results. Step 3. Document the benefits. Keep track of positive changes. Reduce stress, better work quality, more time for important relationships, increased energy. Step 4. Address external resistance gradually. As you prove to yourself and others at ES, essentialism works. You'll have more credibility to set boundaries and make changes. Step 5. Build your support network. Find others who understand and support your essentialist journey. This might be mentors, colleagues, family members, or online communities. Remember, the goal isn't to convince everyone that essentialism is right. The goal is to live according to your values and priorities while maintaining important relationships and meeting essential obligations. The transformational power of living essentially. Let me take you on a journey into the future. Imagine it's 1 year from today. You've been practicing essentialism consistently. Your life looks fundamentally different, but the changes happen so gradually that you almost didn't notice them at first. You wake up without an alarm because your body has found its natural rhythm. Instead of immediately reaching for your phone, you spend a few minutes in quiet reflection, connecting with what matters most to you today. Your morning routine feels effortless because you've designed it around your essential needs. You move through your day with intention rather than reaction. At work, you're known as the person who gets the most important things done. Your colleagues respect your boundaries because they see the quality of your contributions. Your boss trusts your judgment because you consistently deliver on what matters most. You leave the office at a reasonable time, not because you're lazy, but because you've been incredibly focused during your work hours. You've learned to distinguish between being busy and being productive. Your relationships are deeper because when you're with people, you're truly present. Your family and friends feel valued because they know they have your full attention when you're together. You sleep peacefully because you're living in alignment with your values. There's no nagging sense that you're wasting your life on trivial pursuits. This isn't a fantasy. This is a lived reality of thousands of people who have embraced essentialism. But the transformation goes even deeper than external changes. The most profound shift is internal, a move from reactive living to intentional living. Before essentialism, life felt like it was happening to you. Opportunities, demands, crises, and requests came at you from all directions. You felt like you were constantly putting out fires, never getting ahead, always behind on something important. After essentialism, life feels like something you're actively creating. You make conscious choices about where to invest your time and energy. You design your days around your priorities rather than letting your priorities get squeezed into whatever time is left. This shift creates what I call the essentialist advantage in 4 key areas. 1. Clarity and chaos. While others are overwhelmed by choices and possibilities, you have a clear framework for decision-making. You know what matters and what doesn't. This clarity becomes your superpower in a world of infinite distractions. 2. Contribution over activity. You measure success by impact, not effort. You'd rather make a significant difference in one area than a minimal difference in 10 areas. This focus allows you to develop real expertise and create work that matters. 3. Connection over network. You invest in fewer, deeper relationships rather than maintaining hundreds of superficial connections. Your relationships become a source of strength and joy rather than obligation and exhaustion. 4. Calm in crisis. Because you're not operating at maximum capacity all the time, you have bandwidth to handle unexpected challenges and opportunities. You become known as someone who stays steady under pressure. But perhaps the most beautiful transformation is what happens to your sense of purpose. When you're scattered across too many priorities, it's hard to feel like you're making a meaningful contribution. You're busy, but you're not sure if you're making a difference. When you focus on the essential, your impact compounds. Every day builds on the previous day. Your efforts accumulate towards something significant. You start to see the thread that connects your daily actions to your deeper purpose. Let me share a story that illustrates this perfectly. Maria was a talented teacher who felt burnout after 10 years in education. She was involved in every school committee, taught multiple subjects, sponsored 3 clubs, and tutored students after hours. She worked constantly but felt like she wasn't really helping anyone. Then Maria discovered Essentialism and made a radical decision. She would focus only on teaching her core subject, mathematics, and mentoring struggling students one-on-one. She resigned from committees, gave up extra responsibilities, and redesigned her approach around these 2 essential activities. The result? Maria's students' math scores improved dramatically. Her one-on-one mentoring program became a model for the entire district. She rediscovered her love for teaching and started attracting students who had previously hated mathematics. 5 years later, Maria was named Teacher of the Year, not because she did more than other teachers, but because she did less and did it extraordinarily well. Maria's story illustrates the ultimate promise of essentialism. When you eliminate the non-essential, what remains isn't just more manageable, it's more meaningful. You move from scattered effort to concentrated impact, reactive living to intentional living, busy work to meaningful work, surface relationships to deep connections, chronic overwhelm to sustainable pace, external validation to internal fulfillment. This transformation doesn't happen overnight, but it does happen inevitably when you consistently apply essentialist principles. The compound effect of small, daily choices toward the essential creates extraordinary results over time. Think about the most successful and fulfilled people you know. I guarantee they've learned to be selective about where they invest their time and energy. They may not call it essentialism, but they practice its principles intuitively. Now imagine having that same clarity and focus in your own life. Imagine waking up each day knowing exactly what matters and having the courage to act on that knowledge. Imagine looking back on your life and seeing a clear thread of purpose running through everything you've chosen to do. This is the transformational power of living essentially. And it starts with a single decision. The decision to stop trying to do everything and start choosing to do what matters most. Starting your essentialist journey today. So here we are at the moment of truth. You spent the last 25 minutes discovering the secrets that separate the truly successful from the merely busy. You've learned about the disciplined pursuit of less, but better. You've seen how exploration, elimination, and execution can transform not just your productivity, but your entire life. But knowledge without action is just entertainment. The question now is, what are you going to do with what you've learned? Will you close this video, feel inspired for a moment, and then return to the same scattered, overwhelming patterns that brought you here in the first place? Or will you take the first step toward becoming an essentialist today? Let me give you a specific, actionable plan to begin your transformation right now. The first 24 hours, the Essentialist Emergency Audit. Before you go to bed tonight, complete this simple exercise. Step 1. List everything on your calendar for the next week. Step 2. For each item, ask, is this essential to my most important goals? Step 3. Identify one non-essential commitment you can eliminate or delegate. Step 4. Cancel or modify that commitment before tomorrow. This isn't about making dramatic changes overnight. It's about proving to yourself that you have more control than you think. The first week, The 90% rule experiment. For the next 7 days, apply the 90% rule to every new request or opportunity. When someone asks for your time, rate the opportunity from 0 to 100. If it doesn't score at least 90, automatically say no. Track how this feels and what results you see. Most people are shocked by how much mental energy they free up just by being more selective about new commitments. The first month, design your essential routine. Choose one area of your life to optimize using essentialist principles. Your morning routine, your work schedule, your evening wind down, your weekend activities. Focus on this single area for 30 days. Don't try to overhaul everything at once. The first 90 days, the quarterly essential review. Every 3 months, conduct a deep review. What activities are producing the most meaningful results? What commitments are draining energy without creating value? How can you eliminate, automate, or delegate non-essential tasks? What essential activities deserve more of your focus? But here's what I really want you to understand. Starting is more important than perfecting. You don't need to become a perfect essentialist overnight. You don't need to have all the answers before you begin. You just need to start making more intentional choices about where you invest your precious time and energy. Every master was once a disaster. Every expert was once a beginner. The difference between people who transform their lives and people who stay stuck isn't talent, intelligence, or even circumstances. The difference is action, and your action starts now. Before you click away from this video, I want you to make 3 commitments. Commitment number 1, the learning commitment. Subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that notification bell. Invest in continuing to learn about personal development, productivity, and intentional living. Make learning a priority, not something you do if you have time. Commitment number 2, the implementation commitment. Choose one insight from today's video and implement it this week. Don't try to change everything. Pick one specific strategy and put it into practice. Commitment number 3, the sharing commitment. Share this video with someone who needs to hear this message. Teaching others reinforces your own learning and helps create accountability for your new commitments. But most importantly, I want you to make this commitment to yourself. I commit to living more intentionally. I commit to being selective about what deserves my attention. I commit to pursuing less but better. Say it out loud right now. Make it real. Because here's what I know about you. You wouldn't have watched this far if you weren't ready for change. Something inside you knows that there's a better way to live. You're tired of feeling scattered, overwhelmed, and constantly behind. You have everything you need to start living as an essentialist. You have the knowledge. You have the tools. You have the opportunity. What you need now is the courage to begin. And that courage doesn't require you to make massive changes overnight. It just requires you to make one small, essential choice today. The choice to start. Your essential life is waiting for you. It's time to claim it. The legacy of an essential life. I want to leave you with one final thought. A thought that might change everything. Imagine you're 80 years old, sitting in your favorite chair, looking back on a life you've lived. What do you see? Do you see a life scattered across 1,000 different pursuits, busy but ultimately unfocused? Or do you see a life of deep impact, meaningful relationships, and purposeful contribution? Do you see decades of saying yes to everything and everyone, leaving yourself exhausted and unfulfilled? Or do you see the courage to choose what mattered most and the discipline to stay true to those choices? The life you're imagining, that 80-year-old version of yourself, is being created by the choices you make today. Every yes to something non-essential is a no to something that could be extraordinary. Every moment you spend on activities that don't align with your deepest values is a moment you can never get back. But here's the beautiful truth. You have the power to change the story of your life starting right now. You don't have to live scattered. You don't have to feel constantly overwhelmed. You don't have to wonder if your life is making a difference. You can choose the essential path. And when you do, something magical happens. Your life becomes a masterpiece instead of a rough draft. Your relationships become deeper because you're fully present. Your work becomes more impactful because you're focused on what matters most. Your days become more fulfilling because you're living according to your values. Your nights become more peaceful because you know you spent your time well. This is the promise of essentialism. Not just a better schedule, but a better life. Not just more productivity, but more purpose. Not just less stress, but more significance. Greg McKeown discovered something that changed millions of lives. The disciplined pursuit of less is actually the undisciplined pursuit of more. More of what matters, more impact, more fulfillment, more joy. And now you know the secret too. The question is, what will you do with it? Your essential life is calling. Will you answer? If this message resonated with you, if you're ready to stop living scattered and start living focused, then take action right now. Subscribe to Mind's Quotes for more life-changing content. Share this video with someone who needs this message. And most importantly, choose one essential thing to focus on today. Because your life is not a rehearsal. This is it. This is your one chance to create something meaningful, something beautiful, something essential. Don't waste it on the trivial many. Invest it in the vital few. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the extraordinary world of essentialism. Your essential life starts now. Go make it count. I'm your host at Mind's Quotes. And until next time, remember, less but better isn't just a strategy. It's a way of life. Live it.